Let's get into it. So for the first game, the Jaguars are facing the Bengals, and all primetime games this year, they've been so entertaining. Thursday night games, usually they're really shitty games because the Jaguars, they usually play in them. But this week, the Bengals, they're out without T. Higgins, and this is going to be like no other game. They're about to whoop their ass. So the Bengals, their rushing defense this year has showed out with great performances against the Bears with David Montgomery, and then the Steelers with Najee Harris. They held them each to a 100 yards less combined. And last week, the Jaguars, they looked better only because they had a 109-yard field goal return for a touchdown. And it tied the NFL record. And back in the day, Nathan Vasher had one against the 49ers in a really windy day. But anyways, no one remembers that. But last week when Jacksonville faced Arizona, they went up 19-10 in the third quarter, and that was before blowing the lead. They ended up allowing 21 straight unanswered points, and the Jaguars running game, they have James Robinson, and he's really good. He's their lead back, but he's going to be slowing down this week just because the Bengals rushing defense is too good, and they're going to have to level up. The Bengals defense, they're eighth in the league in rushing yards, eighth in the league in giving up the least amount of rushing yards, and they're going to force Trevor Lawrence to throw the ball. And right now, Trevor Lawrence, he's leading the league in interceptions, and he's going to be put into some bad windows. And the Bengals, they've barely even passed the ball this year so far. But they're top 10 in passer rating with Joe Burrow. I love Joey B. I think he's going to be a stud at the NFL level, but they're not letting him make any mistakes. They're not allowing him to get put in harm's way, kind of like how I think of Jameis Winston this year with Sean Payton running the offense. But I think that the Bengals, they're going to run the ball down the throat of the Jaguars with Joe Mixon. And Jamar Chase is going to have yet another big game just because T. Higgins is out again. This week, I have the Bengals winning 32-20. The Jaguars are going to go 0-4. I'm probably going to pick against them every time this week. The total points is 45.5, but with people being out, with the Jaguars secondary not looking too good, I think this is an obvious over. Right now, the Bengals are favorite -7.5. I think this game could be a little bit closer. And one of the reasons why, too, the Jags, they traded one of their top cornerbacks in C.J. Henderson, their first round draft pick in 2020. And they're going to be a little weak in the secondary. And the Bengals, they have something to prove in the tough AFC North division that they're in. And this game just screams the over. So I'm going with the over this week. I'm going to be betting that with 45.5. It's one of the lower ones this week. There's a couple at 42. But this is going to be a game where I think it's obvious. And Trevor Lawrence, he's going to be forced to get some garbage time throws. He might be a good fantasy quarterback this week, but I am not trusting anybody on that team, minus maybe James Robinson. But I don't think he's going to have a good week this week either.